Morning, everybody. Welcome to Town Hall. It's been a while since we've been on Zoom.
Hello.
It's good to be here again.
Yeah, we're super excited to get started. So give me a second. Let me just make sure that our LinkedIn is also going, and then we should be able to go from there. LinkedIn only gives us a small window to get started. All right.
So, folks, we'll wait a couple minutes to let people trickle in. Mico's getting our live stream set up. But most importantly, welcome to the session. We're happy to see you.
Yeah, so I think while we're waiting, where is everybody from? I always like to kind of find out where people calling in from or join us from. If you could just put it in the chat, that would be great. Where is everybody from?
What? Tia, I'm in Chicago.
Ah,
what?
Really?
It's in Chicago.
That means you can come help us get set up.
I will be right there.
Some personal one-on-one attention.
Yeah, right.
How about your national lab?
I will be right there, and then we'll immediately be asking everybody else on my team questions that I won't be able to answer. That's cool. Brittany's also Brittany on our team is also in Chicago. Our cohort is growing. It's very exciting.
Wow. Are you guys all over, like completely remote?
Yeah.
Cool.
So we're like West Coast, East Coast. Mico's in the Caribbean. Pedro's in Portugal. We have Tomasz in Hungary, and Asim is in India. Like, we are everywhere. Also, we just hired someone who lives in Hawaii.
that's wonderful.
And Hyejin is in South Korea.
In South Korea. Like, we're everywhere. It's crazy. But mostly I'm on a target Hawaii. Anyway, I'm derailing. Good morning, everybody. Are we good to go?
Yeah, give me 1 second here. I just need to verify that we are live. Sorry, LinkedIn closed the window to 10 minutes. They changed the window here, so they only give you a few minutes to actually get live. So give me just 2 minutes because I think people are waiting, and then we can go ahead and get started. I turned off the waiting room as well, so people should be able to just kind of come in. While we're waiting as well,
okay,
I'm just, yeah, just give me like a second here, and then we'll go ahead and get started.
Mico, if you want, I can kick off. I can kick things off while you're getting that going.
That'd be great. Go ahead.
All right. So welcome everybody to our November town hall. We are always happy to see all of your faces. It's always exciting to get together. We have a ton of things to get through. If we have not met, my name is Maggie. I'm the founding community product manager for DataHub. Mico is going to be running the show, but I'll kick things off and we will get going there. So, there we go. So yeah, welcome. It's great to see you all back in Zoom. We're always happy to see faces, smiling faces. Love to hear your feedback in the chat as well. So in terms of agenda, we have plenty of things to work through today. So first and foremost, Mico's going to give us some updates on just the general community. Shirshanka will dig into project updates. I'm going to let him take care of that one. And then I'll briefly touch on our roadmap updates for both open source and Acryl Cloud. We're going to have Harshal giving an overview of a recent contribution from the PayPal team on streamlining data access requests. So that one's super exciting. Then we're going to do one of our kind of like more, kind of getting started, a little bit more of advanced topics with DataHub 201 from our dear friend Hyejin. And then Gabe's going to talk to us about metadata testing and analytics within Acryl. And then last but certainly not least, we have John and Matthew from checkout.com who are going to share a case study with us. So plenty to get through. Mico, are you ready to go?
Yeah, let's go ahead and get started here. Okay, so Thank you. All right, so first I want to give you guys some updates about the community. So very exciting. I think as we only have about 30 plus more days for the rest of the year, the community is still growing. We're really excited. We're bridging across 9,600, and I fully expect that by the end of the year, we will be past the 10,000 mark. We also have an average of about 1,149 weekly active users, which is great. And then we have a whopping, and I say whopping, almost like 7,800 plus messages. And so as you could see, even in our, if you guys are in the main channels, you probably see the messages that are in like our big channels like ingestion and troubleshooting, but there's so much activity, and I just want to say thank you. And then we have a lot of emoji people like me. I'm pretty sure that I'm about 100 of those 541 emojis. Maggie's another 100 by herself, but thanks for everybody who goes ahead and posts those emojis. We absolutely love them. All right, and so let us go forward. All right, so in terms of our support volume, which I know is important, right now we're averaging about 35 PRs a week. And we are averaging about 368 support messages for the month, but per week. And so you guys can see that our volume is very, very high. As you guys know, we continue to do our best as we grow the team to make sure that we're responding as best as we can. And so I have a pretty exciting announcement as well, which you guys are going to like, which will hopefully help us to attack this number. But thank you guys so much. Continue to push your PRs, continue to send your messages, and we look forward to working with you. All right, now this is kind of my favorite slide. So in terms of shoutouts, you guys know that we do these shoutouts just based primarily on people who have provided support. So I want to say thank you to Surukara and Patrick. So they are actually two of our DataHub champions. Yay! Can I give everyone a round of applause here? Super awesome. Thank you guys for the support, as well as so many others. I mean, there's so many people on this list. If you are here, by the way, please say hello on this list that provided support. We just want to recognize these people, which means that they have taken their time to answer 1+ questions, right? Support. So thank you guys. You know, we could not run a community without you. If you're in the chat, we would encourage more people. Please, if you see something that you can support, you can see our team is small and growing. We do our best. Please go ahead and answer any questions, because a lot of times people are, especially people coming in, they're asking questions which some of you have already encountered, and any support that you guys provide, we appreciate it. So thanks everybody who provided support to the community. More claps. All right, guys, listen, December is a month to remember. So we have quite a few events that are coming up this month that I want to talk about at Acryl and DataHub. We plan to finish the year very strong, okay? So one of the things that we're really excited about, run, do not walk to this, talking about our PRs and support, is we are having a 12-hour DataHub proof of concept marathon, okay? Now, this is, I think, if I'm correct, Maggie, this is the first time we're doing this, correct? For 12 hours, is that correct?
This is the first time, and we thought, why start with 1 hour? Let's do 12.
So no, we're not crazy. It's actually pretty well structured, and because we have, I think I lost count in a number of countries, but we have quite a bit of countries in our community. We want to make sure that everybody could join. Exactly right. Tia's like, oh my gosh, 12 hours. Yes, I think our team, when we launched it, was all the engineers were like, wow, 12 hours as well. And so what we plan to do here is we will release the agenda later on this week, but we intend to have our key engineers online. You guys are free to join at any time. There is a link to make sure that you RSVP. I'm going to go ahead and drop that in the chat in a minute. Make sure that you guys RSVP, and you can join us at any time. We are going to be doing giveaways every single hour to make sure that we keep it lively. We are going to be closing PRs. We're going to have our engineers. I don't know if Gabe's going to be there and Harshal's going to be there, but I know we're going to have our engineers also giving insights. So this is really kind of a time for us to not get down and have a really good time. It's also geared toward, you know, if you have people in your company that you're trying to get on DataHub, people that are trying to understand DataHub or thinking about it, this is really an opportunity to get in there and have one-on-one time with our engineers. Shirshanka, are you going to be there?
Of course, I wouldn't miss it.
Yeah. Okay, putting Shirshanka on the spot.
Cleared his calendar for it.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to call out, we know that a 12-hour session can be daunting. So we are putting some structure around it. And we'll have kind of 4 different topic sessions that will repeat throughout the day. So we'll send out more information about what that timing will look like. but just think about it in terms of like, if you're getting started with DataHub, what are the questions you have? What are the challenges you're facing? It could be anything from, I don't know, how would I even evaluate something like this, to I am up and running with Quick Start, what's next? So we'll have sessions just on generally getting started with DataHub. We'll have sessions on ingestion, on DataHub customization, and then architecture and APIs. So it's geared towards newbies or beginners, but come one, come all. I'm trying to convince Shirshanka, I haven't told you this yet, but I'm trying to get some Apple swag for us to give out throughout the day, because why not? We gotta make it count.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're
Yay.
super excited about it. Bring your coffee and your questions.
Yeah, and remember, you guys can come in and come out, which is flexible as well. You don't have to just come once. Feel free to come in when you have a chance, and then go to a meeting and feel free to come back. We just want to make sure that we're supporting you. So thank you, Maggie. Okay, then I don't know how many of you attended the episode 1 for Decoding Data Leadership. We had the lovely Maggie Hays hosting. We had Shirshanka. We had Ben Stanston and Taylor. Did anybody in the chat, let me see in here, attend our first episode that we had last month for the Decoding Data Leadership? Nobody? Okay, great. Well, I'm glad we're announcing it. All right. So, oh, you did. Thank you, Lucas. Pretty useful. Okay, good. So if you guys have not heard, we have launched a new show. It's actually hosted by Maggie, Shirshanka, and Saru, and it's called Decoding Data Leadership. And we are having our episode 2. It's actually done live on LinkedIn Live. So if you guys follow our LinkedIn page, I'll put the link in there as well. You get notifications, not to mention if you're on our email list. And Shirshanka, maybe take a few minutes to tell people what to expect on our episode 2. And it's happening December 12th. It'll happen monthly on the second Tuesday of every month.
Yeah, it's going to be the end of the year. So guess what? We're going to talking about everything that happened this year in data, and we're finalizing the speakers and interviewers. So it's going to be fun. Very exciting.
Yeah, and so I think what would be helpful as well is, Shirshanka is open if you guys want to put in topics that you maybe want to hear, because it's focused on data leadership.
Absolutely.
And also, we'd love for you guys to invite your data leaders. Again, if you guys go back, the recording is on there. I'm going to go post the link for episode 1. Definitely share it with your leadership. The topic there was the catalog or not the catalog. Very interesting debate. It's a lot of fun, and we basically allow people to form their own opinions. So we definitely want you guys to join. Also, we want to make a note that because of the Christmas holiday that's coming up, we are doing our next town hall on December 21st. So you guys know normally we do it at the end of the month, but given the holiday between Christmas and New Year, it'll be on December 21st at 9 a.m. So we want to make sure that we get you guys to attend that as well. So I just want to prep you for that, because I know we figure after that people are going to take off for Christmas. All right. Okay, now can we bang the desk? I don't know. Can we get a bang on the desk? I don't know if you guys could hear that. So I'm banging the desk on here. Okay, so Oktoberfest happened, and we are super excited. You guys remember that we mentioned that we were going to be awarding 3 people $250 Amazon gift cards, as well as a swag box. Okay, now with Christmas coming up, I don't know about you, but I could use a $250 Amazon gift card. So we just want to say a big thank you to Sachin, Alex Clavin, and Upendreo. Now keep in mind, these are their usernames on the Slack community, so you guys may see them around. We choose to use that instead of their full names because you guys can go and find them and congratulate them. But if you guys are in here in the audience, please make sure to say hi and congratulations. I will slip into your DMs in terms of how to get it. And Sachin, 6 PRs. I mean, let's give a round of applause, guys. That's super, super, super awesome. So thank you guys so much. And then there's 3 winners that we have not mentioned here as well. I know that we mentioned that we're going to give out 3 swag boxes for people who filled out our Poly survey. So I'll go ahead and make that announcement in our Slack channel as well, and you will receive a link to retrieve your swag. So I just want to say thanks to everybody. Oktoberfest is super special, and of course we'll be doing it again next year. All right.
One thing I do want to call out there, I think we had around 34 different community members contribute during Hacktoberfest, which is wild. That is an insane number of folks coming in. Everything from full on features to helping with our docs, across the board, it was a massive success. So big thanks to everyone who participated in Hacktoberfest. Yeah,
I think it's just super awesome. And again, I think hopefully we can exceed that, Maggie, with the marathon day, right? I'm hoping on the marathon day that we'll even.
I mean, we'll start moving through PRs as soon as we can.
as quickly as possible. Yeah. All right. Okay, and so now I wanna go ahead and hand it over to Maggie, and she's gonna go. I mean, to Shirshanka, and he's gonna go over and give you guys some updates.
Yeah, I'll do a quick update just on the contributions. So during the month of November, we merged 185 PRs across the main DataHub project as well as our Helm repo. We had 16 first-time contributors. We are consistently seeing on a month-over-month basis, 10 to 20, 25 first-time contributors. It is so exciting to me that we still have that high of consistently that high of a volume of people coming in and jumping in to help for the first time. So massive shout out to those folks. And then we also had 31 repeat contributors, which is just outstanding. So these are all contributions that are going to be coming up in our upcoming version, which will be 0.12.1. Shirshanka is going to talk through in a second what those changes are going to be. My hope is that we can target that release next week. Given the marathon, we might need to push it out, but it'll be coming in the upcoming weeks.
Cool. Just on that front, I wanted to highlight an RFC that the Visa team has raised around addition of business attributes to the metadata model. I think it's a pretty cool proposal to add support for not just column tags and terms, but also the concept of logical columns. I'm very excited to see that RFC come through. I'm working with the team, and we'll see it come into the main project very soon. So super exciting to see more meaningful and detailed contributions coming in, as well as contributions that really improve the fit and finish of the product as well as our documentation. Thank you, everyone. So with that, let's talk about 0.12.1. Lots of improvements, and I usually spend a ton of time talking about it, so I'll keep it quick. User experience, command case finally here, subtypes for charts. So Tableau charts are actually going to look like Tableau worksheets, which is what you would expect. Developer experience, improvements to quick start stability, support for newer versions of MySQL. We're continuing to work on quick start and making sure that it continues to be stable and reliable for you. So please keep the feedback coming. We're going to make a big push in December to make it even faster and even more efficient. Metadata ingestion, lots of improvements. The big one is Fivetran. If you're using Fivetran to get data into your warehouse, and especially if it's Snowflake, this connector is going to work right away. It uses the new Fivetran metadata APIs. So it's pretty exciting. Uses a pretty real-time integration with Fivetran as well, because Fivetran is continuously syncing this log into the warehouse. So if you're using Snowflake, turn it on, let us know how it goes. And support for other warehouses is coming soon. SQL parsing, we've added a lot of improvements to our SQL parsing capabilities. Performance improvements have happened there. And of course, that drives lineage, right? So we've released DBT column level lineage, and we've released view lineage for pretty much all SQL Alchemy sources. So as long as you are using any source that uses SQL Alchemy under the covers, we're going to be able to pull out view lineage for you automatically. And of course, tons of improvements across Teradata, MongoDB, Looker, and many others. So that's kind of the big change improvements in user experience, developer experience, and metadata ingestion. On the other side, we've been making big improvements to security, solving for security vulnerabilities. Lots of dependencies have been updated, and their features related to policies, roles, and recommendations. We've also added feature guides for subscriptions and notifications. Just saw a question coming in, probably from LinkedIn, around surfacing transformation logic in the lineage view. That's actually something that's coming up in the next, so in December, we're going to be tackling that one. Overall, lots of improvements, very exciting, and we're actually going to start getting releases a bit more regular as well. So you'll see a lot of these things come out sooner.
All righty. I'm gonna zoom right through this just because we're getting a little short on time. I want to make sure that we are keeping space for the more kind of like substantial and exciting sessions. So as always, I want to give you a quick update on our open source and Acryl Cloud roadmaps. So on the you gotta love when a slide animation doesn't do what you wanted it to do. You know what I mean? I don't even know why I try anymore. Anyway, so we rolled out nested domains. I think that it was included in 0.12. So that was in our latest release. We have some ongoing conversations and some strategy around how we're going to improve our metadata analytics functionality within DataHub, so you can really understand kind of the coverage of your metadata enrichment, how things have changed over time, et cetera. More to come there. That's going to be much more substantial undertaking, I believe. We have demoed this in the past few town halls around the ability to verify, assign criteria and verify entities from kind of a compliance or governance standpoint. We are currently in testing with one of our partners. We're hoping to get that rolled out into the community maybe before the end of the year. We got to figure out how we're gonna ship that one out. And then in terms of data products and data contracts in particular, we have some testing and QA going on there, so keep your eyes peeled. And then on the Acryl Cloud side of things, Harshal's been hard at work at some of our Gen AI functionality. We have that ongoing and in progress. We'll keep you guys posted there. In terms of, I'm talking very fast, sorry. I just realized I haven't taken a breath for a minute. In terms of automatic propagation, we're hoping to pick up some first rounds of discovery on that within the month of December. Subscriptions and notifications, we're always making improvements there. And then our initial batch of metric and SQL assertion monitors for our Observe module, that has been complete, and we're rolling that out to our partners as well. So please feel free to bring any questions around open source or Acryl Cloud roadmap to me. If I don't have the answer for you, I will find out. And I think that's the fastest I've ever done a roadmap update. Harshal, you ready to go?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Do you want you want me to continue to share? Yeah.
Yeah, and then I can share for the demo.
Cool.
All right. So first off, everything that I'm demoing here is thanks to the PayPal team, in particular, Mendra, who kind of led this effort, pushed it through, wrote the RFCs, built out the code for it, all of that. So huge thank you to Mendra and team. So what happens in a lot of DataHub users' journey is they'll show up to DataHub, they'll search for something, they'll find what they're looking for. It has high usage, it has all, it has ownership, it has the lineage that they were expecting. It looks like the perfect thing. And the very next questions they're going to ask are, okay, do I actually have access to this thing? Can I query it or not? If I don't have access to it, what roles do I need to get in order to get access to that? Or what permissions do I need? And finally, who do I talk to, or where do I go to actually make those requests? And this is very important for folks to kind of complete the usability story for data. You don't just want to find it, you also want to then make use of it. And so requesting access for data is that very next step. So in general, the way access is structured in a number of different systems is around roles. Roles will have a list of associated permissions. For example, you might have a viewer, an editor, and an owner. And in a database system, the viewer might be able to, list schemas and view metadata for certain tables and read the data. But only an editor is able to, make updates, and only the owner is able to maybe tweak the row level access policies or things like that. Now, the mapping for roles to users and from roles to data sets kind of varies across systems. In simpler systems like Snowflake, roles are directly tied to entities, and users are directly granted roles. In more complex IAM systems, you have an intermediate layer of policies that serve as this binding layer between a role and a set of users and the entities or the resources that it applies to. And I have some examples there for how you can think about these. So when we were modeling, Maggie, next slide. When we were modeling it, we made some simplifying assumptions here. Specifically that roles just have a static list of users that are granted the role, and data sets have a static list of roles that apply. And these are initial assumptions that we can make so that we can start presenting something useful in the DataHub UI. And just to make sure I'm clear here, this is all about representing permissions of external systems within DataHub and is distinct from the internal role and policy system that DataHub uses internally for determining if you have access to view a given data set within DataHub. So with that, maybe we can run through a quick demo of what this actually looks like and how we use it. All right, so I have some example commands that we can use to push metadata around roles and access into DataHub. So first, we have two commands to set up the roles. I have a revenue ops writer and a revenue ops reader, and I have associated descriptions with each of these. Then I am the DataHub user, and I'm simply adding myself to the list of users that have access to the revenue ops reader role. And finally, I'm annotating a specific Snowflake data set to say that these roles would grant access to this data set. And so now if we go to the UI, oops, I thought I had this loaded up. And we find this thing. We'll go over to the new access management tab. This is opt-in. You have to enable it with a specific feature flag. But once it's enabled, we'll see these are the roles that we need to see. We see that I already have read access. And for write access, we have this request button. So if we go back to the commands that we ran, we can associate a request URL with each role. And this basically tells people, where do we go to get access to this role or get granted this role? And so then if I hit request, we'll see that it opens up and goes to the URL that I linked to. Great. So this is just the beginning. What's next is figuring out how to model external policies in addition to roles, and then making this a little bit more automated by pulling this information from external systems like BigQuery or Snowflake, so that you don't actually have to push the metadata in, as I did in this demo, but actually it just shows up automatically. So stay tuned for more. Once again, huge shout out to the PayPal team who actually drove the contribution around this.
Yay. All right. Thank you, Harshal. We appreciate that. And now we have, many of you know Hyejin Yoon. She is in Korea, so she's not able to join, but she did an amazing DataHub 201 recording for you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and share this with you. And it is around, let me get it up on the screen. Ingestion transformer, right here. Let's make sure that is working. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yep.
Yay. Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and run the recording. I just want to make sure you could hear the sound. So let us get started. It's just a short video. It's about 6 minutes and 20 seconds here.
Hey everyone, I'm Hyejin Yoon from the Devel team in Acryl. Today I'm going to talk about the ingestion transformers and its main use cases. So here's a quick overview. I'm going to briefly explain about what is the ingestion transformer, how does it work, and introduce some main use cases. Okay. So what is the ingestion transformers? Some of you may already familiar with this, some of you may not. So let's say this is a very basic flow of the metadata ingestion in DataHub. The data comes from the data sources and goes to sink. Most of the time, the sink will be the DataHub instance. So oftentimes you might want to modify metadata before it reaches the sink. For example, you might want to add some tags, ownerships, properties, set some customized route path, etc. Using transformer is the easiest way to do this without modifying the ingestion framework code. So how does it work? How do we configure the transformer? Transformers are defined in the recipe.yaml file, like sources and sinks. All you need to do is define its name and some configs along with it. So this is a quick overview of our provided transformer names. So you can add glossary terms, tags, domains, ownerships, properties, and mark some dataset status or set dataset broad paths. And it's also possible to define your customized transformer, so there's a lot of flexibility. So let me introduce some of the main use cases here to help you understand how to utilize the transformer with DataHub. Let's say you have a recurring ingestion pipeline comes from a MySQL database. You might want to customize the browse path for the dataset in a certain ingestion, right? You might want to create a directory called production or marketing DB, etc., for a better discovery or better understanding of the data. In this case, you can use set dataset browse path transformers in our ingestion framework that lets you customize the browse path. You can either use a certain variables like env, platform, dataset parts, or you can just define the static path for yourself. Let's say you have a MySQL table called sales.orders. If you set path templates like this and platform dataset parts, this will set the path like prod MySQL sales orders. So prod being env, MySQL being the platform, and sales/orders being the dataset parts. Or you can set static path templates as well, like below. So platform, marketing, DB, and dataset parts, this will set the path like MySQL, platform, marketing, DB being the static path, and sales order being the dataset parts. And the next transformer I'm going to explain is tagging. So there are multiple ways of tagging dataset using the transformers. And this is the simplest one called simple add dataset tags. This will just add this tag URLs under config. So there's not much very complicated configs here. And let's say you want to define a pattern in the tagging process. In this case, you can use pattern add dataset tags, where you can match the regex pattern to URL of the dataset and assign the respective tags. Let's say you want to add need docs tag to the dataset with the name that contains example 1 and example 2. And you want to add legacy tags that to the dataset that contains the example 1. And you can define the tag patterns and rules under config with the regex for the URL of the dataset like this. And last but not least, you can always customize the transformer. You can either call your customized function in the provided transformer, or you can build a transformer from scratch. I'm not going to go deep here, but I'll introduce the basic concept. So let's say that you'd like to add more complex logic for assigning tags than just simple add or pattern add tags. In this case, you can use the more generic transformer called add dataset tags, and call your customized function under the config. So, and then you can define your functions to return the list of tags with your customized logic, and then install and use your customized transformer. So transformers let you modify the metadata without requiring much knowledge of the ingestion framework, and at the same time, it has a lot of flexibilities. So hope this helps, and see you later.
All right. Thank you to Hyejin. And though she's not here, you guys know that you can write her and thank her in Slack for that. So we're super excited about ingestion transformation. And then I want to say, yeah, I see Tia clapping. Yeah, super cool stuff. And then we are saving on our team the best for last. We have 2 more sessions. We do have the case study with checkout.com. But before that, Gabe is going to rock and roll. You ready to go, Gabe?
I am. Thanks for having me, Mico.
All right, let's do it.
Gabe, do you want to run your slides or you want me to do it?
I'm going to share my screen here for a second. Okay. So thanks to Hyejin again for calling out the transformers. I do find that I think transformers are really one of the more powerful things that DataHub offers, and definitely one of those underlooked things. I know when I talk to people who are using DataHub, a lot of times problems that they sounded really hard, like doing governance labeling or finding the right owner for an asset, something that maybe seemed even insurmountable before. I can talk through someone, they find a transformer that works for them, and actually they're able to solve some of these problems at scale. So I think they're very cool, and definitely take a look more at the docs if it stuck out to you. So what I'm talking about today is an Acryl feature of metadata tests and analytics. So this is something that's in Acryl only, but in general for this talk, it's not just for people using the Acryl version. These techniques that I'm talking through and the problems that I'm talking through are pretty universal. And I'm just going to show you an approach that we take to solving them that we provide on the Acryl side of Acryl DataHub. But hopefully this is going to be, I think this will be, relevant to everyone. So who's this segment for? What's this about? It's inspiration. If you're interested in launching a metadata initiative and it's something that you're thinking about, maybe you're just playing around with DataHub. So just inspiration of what kind of things that you can accomplish, what kind of problems you can solve, and how you can improve your organization's interactions with data. So, whoa, no, the transitions are off here. All right. So who else? Someone who is already has started this journey. They've launched their metadata initiative, and they're thinking about, okay, how can I now build off of this and improve my metadata health? We're going to talk through some problems and also some solutions. And then finally, techniques for using Acryl to accomplish this, so how we can help. So you might be asking, all right, this is about improving metadata health, but what is this metadata health? How would I know if my metadata or my data ecosystem is unhealthy? So it is near the holidays, so using just Santa representing your metadata ecosystem and the thermometer here being metadata tests, or however you approach this, what kind of signals would cause a spike on that unhealthy ecosystem, showing that Santa maybe is sick and unwell. So one thing is, if it's hard to find what you're looking for, you're going in and searching in your DataHub instance, or maybe you don't even have a DataHub instance, you don't know, you can't find your data. That's a sign that there's a lot of stuff lying around. No one knows what to trust. No one knows what it is. That's unhealthy. That's an unhealthy data ecosystem. Next up, governance labeling is spotty or non-existent. Maybe you don't know where your PII is, or you've asked your users, hey, could you go in and label what columns have PII? What is highly sensitive data? Maybe your really go-getters out there have gone and labeled things, but then you realize, well, about 95% of my data doesn't have labels. That would be pretty unhealthy. Hard to know what's trusted and what isn't. So you've got 2 different sources of truth, 3 different sources of truth, and you're not sure which is the authoritative one. And then tying that all together, there's lots of crux lying around, but you don't know where. There's tables that aren't being used, that haven't been cleaned up, things that people know not to trust, that was never deleted. All these signs might be would be signs that your ecosystem's a little bit under the weather. So if this sounds familiar, this is why we built metadata tests inside of Acryl. And there's sort of two ways to think about it. One is it's a BI tool for analyzing your metadata. So just like Looker or Tableau is going to give you dashboards about your own data. This is a BI tool that gives you dashboards about your data ecosystem. And another way to think about it, because it's not just about giving you insights, it's also about acting on them. It's also an automations framework to continuously monitor the health of that system and then act on it. So send notification, add labels, create warnings, and give you the ability to react to these unhealthy signals. So with that, let's just get into a quick demo, and I'll talk you through how metadata tests can help solve some of these ailments that are afflicting our data ecosystem. So switching over to my demo instance, I'm going to show you, this is the metadata test page where people can come in and configure these insights and automations. So we actually preload them when you get started with Acryl with a bunch of these metadata tests, but you're also able to come in and create more. So I'm going to walk you through a couple of these different tests we've created and how they can help address some of these problems. So just coming back here to that first symptom, it's hard to find what you're looking for. You don't know what to trust. One way we approach this through metadata tests is automatically identifying what are some of the trustworthy assets and giving them labels of being a tier 1 asset. So I can come in and query through a metadata test all the information that exists inside your metadata graph. So I'm able to look at usage information, if there's ownership, if there's documentation, if the data set's being updated regularly. You're able to build a query on top of every single piece of information that we've gathered through our connectors, that you've given us through APIs that users have come in and entered. And then, so that's that query part, the BI component. And then in terms of the automation piece, you're actually able to respond to that by adding labels, adding domains, adding owners, flagging things, sending notifications. So here, if I see all these trust signals that are being met, I can add this gold tier label. Then I can have that be boosted in search ranking. I can create distinct views where maybe less technical users, when they come in and do a search, they're only seeing these gold tier assets. So that helps give those end users the ability to discover trusted assets more easily. And I also get that BI analysis where I can see, okay, here's all the assets that meet my gold tier ranking, and here's all the assets that are not hitting that requirement. On the governance labeling piece, so governance labeling is spotty or non-existent, you can monitor and make sure that the governance information that you need is actually being applied. So here I have another test where I take those gold tier 1 assets that I created before, and I'm going to say, okay, for all these assets that meet my gold tier requirement, I have a few additional stipulations. I want to see the PII classification. And again, I want to confirm that there's still an owner there for it. This will then begin to, once again, do a monitor every day. And I can then flag it as needs classification using the automations component. Anytime that happens, we'll actually ping the owners through our notification system and say, hey, you own this asset, and you better go and apply this sensitivity classification. So again, before, you can go and send emails all day at channel and Slack channel saying, you have to go add your PII classifications to your assets. But if you don't have an automated way to check that and remind people, it's not going to really land in the same way. You're not going to get that complete coverage. And then coming back to that last piece about there's crap flying around, things aren't being cleaned up. It's a very common case that we see when people get started with DataHub is we'll go and run our cost savings tests, and we'll find that huge portions of your data sets are never queried, haven't been updated in months. Nobody's looking at it. No one's using it. No one even remembers it exists. So using metadata tests, we'll look at things and say, hey, here's some really large tables that nobody's updating, nobody's querying. Go ahead and delete them. In other cases, maybe you've got a pipeline running every single day that's costing, shooting your Snowflake bill way up, running all the time, doing all these complex calculations, and no one ever reads it. So we'll also able to pop out and say, hey, this is getting tons of updates sent to it, but it's actually never being read. So all those insights we can surface to you through the data cost, and you're able to go and clean those pipelines up, stop them from running, drop the tables or move them into cold storage, and save yourself quite a bit of cost. Just to close out here, going back from the demo, we recently published a case study on that exact piece around the cost savings. DPG Media gave a little webinar a couple of weeks ago where Matthias there shared about how they used metadata tests to actually reduce their Snowflake spend by about 25%. The big key driving factor there was identifying these assets that weren't being used, nobody was querying, turning those pipelines off, moving the tables to cold storage, and it made a huge impact just by that one round of applying the insights from the metadata tests. And the great thing is these tests are running every single day. So it's not just that one moment of cost savings, but it's going to continue improving the quality. So if any of these symptoms sound familiar, these approaches sound useful, love to talk more about how we've helped people solve these problems in the past, and always feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to give a more in-depth demo or show you, tell some more stories about how people have used this to solve some of their metadata health problems.
All right, Gabe.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's awesome. All right, guys, give Gabe a round of applause. That's super, super duper cool. Okay, and so I think without further ado, you guys could see we have online. Let me go ahead and get us in the spotlight here. We are going to hear, 1 second, let me get Matthew on here on the video. Matthew and John, can you guys say hello? Where are you? Hello. All right, could you guys say hi to everybody? Hello, hello. All right, so I don't know how many of you guys have used our DataHub Action Framework, but we have a super exciting case study here from Matthew and John. They'll go ahead and do their presentation on how they actually use it to jumpstart their self-service data governance. So we're super excited, guys. Thank you. Let's give them a round of applause. All right.
Hey everyone, welcome to check out self-service data governance using the DataHub Actions Framework. So who are we? We're an end-to-end payment service provider. Some of our customers include Financial Times, Shane, General Electric, Sony, Patreon, and Wise. We're a global company. We're headquartered in London, UK. And Matthew, Codert, and I are like data engineers here at the data platform team. And we work mostly in the data governance side. So what's our goal as a data governance team? So one of them is to provide clear ownership for data sets, and to give them like data stewards and owners. Second is to provide data discoverability. So giving owners the tools they need to document and share their data. Compliance to enable our operational use cases, such as PII tagging and data deprecation, which we will be talking about in this presentation. And last but not least, insights to help data consumers to quickly find what they need and derive insights from it. So what's our data stack? So at the moment, we really follow a modern data stack. We use Kafka quite a lot now as we move towards more a streaming platform first approach when it comes to ingesting data. We use Snowflake as our data warehouse, and we use dbt and Airflow for our transformation layer. And we use Looker for our data visualization. So why do we use DataHub Actions? The most important bit of why we use it is to allow us to make real-time changes as soon as an event happens in DataHub, either through the UI or during the ingestions. And two main important use cases that we use it for is to classify columns as PII, and also to remove unused data sets that we have in our data warehouse. So two pool-based ingestions that we use it at DataHub Actions for is Snowflake and Looker. Whereas with dbt, LookML, and Airflow, we use it more as a push-based ingestion, but we still use DataHub Actions to consume whenever an event happens and do any use cases for it. So deprecating an asset, what's the problem? So in our data platform, we currently support about 42 teams now, and it's still growing. Our data storage is constantly growing as well. Each team has, the more team we onboard, the more team requires a lot of ingestions of data. And because we have a lot of data being ingested, it's very quick for data sets to become stale and unused very quickly. And then people are constantly chasing us, oh, can we use this data set? And so forth. So the way we've kind of designed this is that we use the DataHub actions to facilitate our automatic deprecation. And based on the update of the deprecation, we then provide users a way to view their deprecated assets through like Looker dashboard, and also give them the necessary decommissioning documentations so that they can delete their tables and the upstream pipelines for it. So how does the automatic deprecation works? So essentially, we've built a detection model, and then during Snowflake ingestion, which we've kind of hooked it up into one of the DataHub ingestion transformers, like a custom one that basically checks like the value of a specific Snowflake tag, and depending on the value of that, we update the deprecation accordingly and automatically if it's not already been deprecated by the user. And the conditions when a data set needs to be deprecated. If it's not been read in 30 days, we consider it as unused. If it's not been read in 60 days, we consider it stale. And at the end of it, if it hasn't been read in 90 days, the data set then becomes liable for decommissioning. So this means removing the upstream pipeline and also the table itself. We also provide users a way to de-deprecate something. And that means that if a data set becomes verified, this means that a verified data set being, if it has a full documentation onto it, if it has clear ownership into it, and so forth, that data set then becomes protected in some case. In the other case, that a data set can be deprecated if it has been read once in the past 30 days. So the conclusion of the whole deprecation aspect. So the benefit is that we save a lot of costs because we decommission the upstream pipeline at the table. We declutter our data warehouse, so this improves user experience. And also, this increases operational efficiency because we avoid maintaining any asset that should not even be used anymore. So we're still very excited on what can we extend the DataHub actions for. So we have got a lot of plans still. One of them is to essentially extend the detection model to not just do it for not read, but also extend it in a way that to target specific niche cases and provide a way to give that to stakeholders and give them a way to approve specific deprecations. The other case is that we want a fully automatic decommissioning, meaning that at the moment, everything's a bit manual when it comes to decommissioning. So we want to do that in a programmatic way, automatically decommissioning the upstream pipelines. And last but not least, DataHub native, we want to move away from Looker dashboards and build everything on top of DataHub natively. I'm going to pass this on now to Matthew, talk about PII and roadmaps.
Yeah, so the problem we're trying to solve is we're trying to give data owners and stewards an easy way to mask their PII data sets, no matter where it comes from. So they could be marking it in dbt in the meta mapping, or they could be marking it in the schema registry in Kafka, but no matter where they are saying it, we want to have one central place to store that information. So we've used the DataHub Actions Framework. We've created an action, which is basically just a Kafka consumer that listens to any change that happens in DataHub. And whenever the glossary term PII is added to a column, masking is propagated down to the source. What else we're working on with this is we have an automated detection mechanism to scan our data sets. And if potential PII is detected, we'll grab the owner from DataHub and send them a Slack message asking them to review. So this is kind of how it works for Snowflake. In Snowflake, we have an account level masking policy that masks any column that has the Snowflake tag PII on it. So whenever a glossary term is added into DataHub an event comes into that Kafka topic, and then we parse it. And if a PII term was added or removed, then we propagate that masking down into Snowflake and also send the person who did it a Slack message confirming it was successful. And then the data was masked. So what are these events? It's a big JSON blob. It's not that friendly. It doesn't look that friendly, but it's not actually that bad to work with. So any event that happens in DataHub, whether it's a new table is ingested or someone added a tag to something or a glossary term, it sends one of these into the Kafka topic. And it contains the previous state and the new state. So we parse that to see, basically, we look at the new state and we see, is there a PII term that exists now that didn't exist before? And if so, then we propagate that down to the source. We can also audit this really easily. We replicate the MySQL database into Snowflake, and then we've done a lot of aggregations on that to see, we can tell who did it, when they did it, for everything that's ever happened to DataHub. So all this is really auditable downstream. So here's a little functionality demo of how it works if you're an end user. This is just doing it through the UI, which isn't the way we like people to do it, but it's easier for a demo. We'd rather people document whether something's PII at the source. But here we have a table that's not masked. If I add the PII glossary term, that Snowflake tag is added in Snowflake immediately, and you can see that it's immediately masked. So if they change their mind and say, oh, I've made a mistake, it's not actually PII, they go in and remove it, then that masking is again propagated and it's no longer masked. So how else do we use the actions framework? Those were two examples. We use it a lot. One is we have data quality rules. So one example of that is for uniqueness. We check, does this data set have a test for uniqueness on it? And is that data set passing? And since we use the actions framework, we get that information in real time. So people can see in DataHub, it'll have a little X next to it. That accuracy is failing or uniqueness is failing right now. So maybe go ask the owner for this, or maybe consume from something else for your use case. Another thing we've implemented is domain inheritance. So whenever a domain is added to a container object, or Snowflake database or schema is a good example, all objects within it inherit its parent's domain in perpetuity. So for the use case where you have a DBT project that's all in one database, and you have hundreds, some are maybe 500 tables in them, you don't have to go through and manually add it. And every time you add a new table, it automatically inherits that domain. Another one we've done is temporary PII access. So owners of the dataset can add the tag of the form PII temp with the username and the date that grants the user temporary access to read mass data within that column or table until that date, and then we remove it. So now that you've seen some examples, this is how you write your own. So first, you have to have a Python package where the logic for these actions can be stored. And then you create a custom Docker image from Acryl DataHub Actions base image and install your package onto it. We then push that image to an image repository like Docker Cloud or ECR. We use ECR. And then modify your DataHub deployment. For us, that's a Helm chart. Since we use EKS, we use a Kubernetes deployment. Then you pull the image from there rather than from the actions pod that Acryl provides. So what challenges have we faced on doing this is, first, we trialed an opt-out PII policy using automated detection to mask PII for stakeholders. People didn't really like that, because even if you have a 99% accuracy, if you have 50,000 columns, then that's still a lot of mistakes, so a lot of data that's masked unnecessarily. So we've instead moved to a detect and notify strategy. So we suspect PII, and then we'll send them a notification rather than doing it for them automatically. Another challenge we face right now that we're looking at resolving with the actions framework is currently all our data access requests go through the central team. So we might have to talk after this, Harshal, about the stuff that they're working on at PayPal. But we're currently implementing a solution that allows data owners to manage access to their data sets via DataHub by leveraging the actions framework. So people will be able to make a change to a policy of who should have access to this data. And then it automatically implements that in the source, whether that's Kafka or in Snowflake or Looker. So that's it. Thank you very much. I think we have lots of questions.
Yeah, I think there's a few questions in here. Guys, thank you so much. You guys are absolutely killing it. I think I saw one question here, but I saw that if you might have missed the explanation, let me see in here. Everybody's saying action fill demo. This was good. Yeah, that was amazing. Okay, thank you guys so much. Checkout.com, will we be able to share the presentation with everybody? You guys can give us the PDF? Yay! Okay, awesome. Okay, so before we go ahead and sign off here, I just wanted to do, I know we're at the hour before people drop off. I wanted to do a very quick poll because one of the things that we're doing next year is I've been discussing with Maggie, let me pull her back here, what our content's going to look like for 2024. So in an effort to understand what you guys want to hear more about, if you don't mind taking just a minute, I want to launch a poll to find out which sessions that you guys find most useful. You can actually multi-select. So if you guys could take a minute to just answer the poll, and then we'll get you guys out of here. This is very helpful for our team to know what you guys find most useful in terms of the content. Obviously, Acryl, don't answer. Not our team, but we want to see what you guys find most useful. And I'll go ahead and share the results as well. And then we'll get you guys out of here.
Not to overly bias the results, but checkout team, y'all are...
Yeah.
What? Like, y'all have pushed that. You are doing exactly what we wanted people to be doing with the actions framework. And you were like doing it in like, we should be talking about this every day. It's so cool. No, you guys are seriously like, there's so many use cases that like people are looking for exactly that. Obviously, we would love contributions back to it, but just even sharing your story and how you approached it, supreme. Really, really, really appreciate it. I'm sure John is pleased. This is like exactly what he wanted people to be doing when he built it out.
There was definitely some similarities in today's session, the way you guys presented how you
exactly. Very cool.
All right, well, the results are in. And usually when I do a poll, I want to see the results. So I'm going to go ahead and share it here. Give me a second. Thank you guys so much. And so in light of radical transparency, if everybody could see this on here, I think our number one is checkout.com. Yeah, not surprised. People obviously love the case study. Then that's followed up by the product roadmap. Then we have the live demo and the DataHub 201 tied, and then we have the project updates and of course our Acryl's metadata test. I think also biased because we more are focused on DataHub. So I just want to make sure that, as you guys know, we blend our content to let you guys know what's going on in our managed solution as well, because we do have customers that attend as well. So thank you guys so much for this. I always put in a chat in Slack. If you guys want to hear more topics, please go ahead in the thread and let us know, especially as we plan 2024. All right, so without further ado, we are going to sign off. So Acro team, let's tell everybody goodbye and thank you guys so much. We'll see you guys on December 21st for the next town hall, the very last one. All right, thank you, checkout.com. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Wonderful to see you.
Yeah.
Adios.
Adios. Bye-bye.